What's up, world? I'm Cameron McKinney, and this is Pop Culture Spotlight, a podcast about the movie The Christophers. Here's a quick synopsis. The children of famed artist Julian Sclar hire painter Laurie Butler to become his assistant in an attempt to gain access to his unfinished works to complete and sell them. The film stars Ian Mckellen, Michela, Coel, James Corden, and Jessica Gunning. Standout performances. I've never really had the opportunity to talk about Sir Ian Mckellen on this podcast, which is crazy because he's a massive figure in the movies I grew up watching. He was simultaneously Magneto in the X-Men films and Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings series, and his involvement and his great acting in those brought legitimacy to these franchises. Some of my favorite scenes in any movies are his in those films. For example, in The Fellowship of the Ring, you have the famous "You Shall Not Pass" moment, and in X-Men 2, you have Magneto's escape from prison. Of course, there's more to his acting career. He's also been great in And the Band Plays On, one of the best HBO movies ever, 6 Degrees of Separation, one of the first big breakouts for a young Will Smith, Gods and Monsters, the movie that got Mckellen his first Oscar nom, and Mr. Holmes, which gave him the opportunity to play the famous detective. The Christophers gives Mckellen his best role in a while as Julian Sclar, this cynical famous painter. Mckellen is given great dialogue, and he really delivers every line. I know with most modern movies, people talk about the action and the cinematography, but for me, a great actor being given great dialogue can feel cinematic and entertaining as anything. And that's what Mckellen is in this movie, playing a guy who is so many different things. He's funny, he's smart, he's witty, and there's also real sadness to the character over the fact that he's not really close to anybody in his life. It appears as though Sir Ian Mckellen is about to be going on another career uptick because he's about to reprise both roles that made him a household name in the first place, beginning with Avengers Doomsday, once again playing Magneto. I'm skeptical about this movie, but my love of specifically the X-Men movies will get me to go see it. I want to see James Marsden as Cyclops, Alan Cummings as Nightcrawler, and of course Mckellen as Magneto. More intriguing to me is him playing Gandalf again in The Return of Gollum, where it was just announced Jamie Dornan is taking over the role of Aragorn from Viggo Mortensen. And not to go on a side tangent, but I'm keeping my eye on this franchise because the Hobbit movies did not work, and now Stephen Colbert is co-writing another Lord of the Rings movie. The original trilogy is all-time great. I don't know if they should go back. It's like how I feel about Harry Potter at this moment. I'll watch new installments, but I really think both franchises have peaked, and what I want from the future Lord of the Rings films are for them to be good looking films and not CGI slob like the Hobbit trilogy. It's impossible to watch The Christophers and not be impressed with Michela Coel. The whole point of the character of Laurie Butler is to be mysterious and for audiences to not truly know where her story is going to end and what her true intentions are, and she pulled that off while still being entertaining. It's hard to be a standout in a movie where Ian Mckellen is giving an all-encompassing performance. Coel is having a moment. She's also in David Lowery's Mother Mary with Anne Hathaway, a film I really want to see. The Christophers is the 6th movie of Stephen Soderbergh's that I'm covering on this podcast. He's one of my favorite directors, and one of the reasons I want to cover his movies is they are all different and all over the place. He's not a director who's making the same movie over and over again. His films don't have a specific tone, a specific look. Like, you don't watch a movie and you go, yeah, I can tell that this was made by Stephen Soderbergh. He's a bit of an enigma in that way. He shoots his own movies. He edits most of his films. Like, he's a one-of-a-kind director right now. And for the most part, when he makes a movie, I want to talk about it on this podcast. The only recent film of his I didn't do a podcast on was Presence, which I liked, but it felt small compared to some of his other movies. And what's compelling about The Christophers is, yes, on the other hand, it's a movie with two people talking, but feels big because it's saying so much about the idea of mentorship. You could look at this movie and say, I don't want to watch a movie about art, but the dynamics in this film are universal and relatable. I know this is maybe something that gets talked about a little bit too much when it comes to Stephen Soderbergh, but he is truly prolific. I mean, he's almost averaging a movie a year at this point, in a time where some filmmakers go away for 4 to 5 years before their next movie. Even guys who make a lot of movies usually take 3 years off. He doesn't make his movies feel like events. Maybe that's a problem. Maybe that's a reason his movies don't do well at the box office. But he is so consistent, it's impossible not to be impressed with his output. I don't think anybody is going at the end of the day say that Stephen Soderbergh is the best director of all time. But I think when his career is all said and done, you could make the argument that he has made the most good movies of any director. Like, he doesn't miss. The last movie of his that everybody was down on was what? The Good German, and that's a movie from 20 years ago at this point. He is so consistent. Every project is different from the other. He is working with major movie stars, and that is something that he is doing recently that I'm super impressed with. I mean, he is building movies around them. Zoe Kravitz and Kimmy. That is what is so good about that movie. It is a movie completely built around her strengths as a performer, and the same goes for The Christophers. This is a movie built around Sir Ian McKellen. The same way that Let Them All Talk was built around Meryl Streep, No Sudden Move was built around Don Cheadle, and Black Bag was built around Michael Fassbender. We've all had experiences watching movies where we go, they picked the wrong person to be in the leading role, and we go, yes, this is a good movie, but the missing part is the great actor in the leading role. That has never been a problem for Stephen Soderbergh, going back all the way to Ocean's 11 with George Clooney. He always picks the right actor to be the lead of his movies. And he's not always picking the biggest names. I mean, Ian McKellen is a well-known actor, but it's not like he's a big box office draw at this point in his career. I mean, it's been a while since he's been in big movies. I know he's making a return to playing Magneto and to playing Gandalf. I really do believe that that's what most directors nowadays are not good at doing. Getting defining performances from movie stars, making them feel like they are doing something different in a movie than you are used to seeing them do. And this movie does that while playing to Ian McKellen's strengths. I mean, you don't get these kinds of performances from this guy all the time, but you also realize, yes, this does feel like only Ian McKellen can play this particular part. Like I've said on this podcast, I've talked about 5 movies that Stephen Soderbergh has made recently. Well, now I'm going to talk about a movie he didn't get to make. Soderbergh has talked about the fact that he almost made a Ben Solo movie with Adam Driver. Yes, that would have been the absolute right move for Star Wars to make that film. Disney needs a well-made Star Wars movie from a director like Stephen Soderbergh. I will never understand why you didn't make that movie. If Adam Driver wants to make that movie a legitimate movie star, you make that movie. Driver was brilliant in Logan Lucky. We all know that movie would have been good. I mean, I don't know if I want Stephen Soderbergh to be sucked into a franchise like that, but yes, if it was a one-off movie, Disney absolutely should have made it, and it was a mistake that they did not. So you have that franchise. And then you have talks about George Clooney, Brad Brad Pitt and Matt Damon returning for a new Ocean's 11 sequel. If they make that movie without Stephen Soderbergh, I find that to be unforgivable. He is the MVP of the original Ocean's 11 trilogy. He shot those movies. He's the reason they are some of the best looking studio films I have ever seen. What he did with Ocean's 11 was great. What he did with Ocean's 12 was great. I don't love Ocean's 13, but it's still better than most. I mean, I just don't know who you would pick to direct a sequel of Ocean's 11 that isn't Steven Soderbergh. Like, I don't know what name wouldn't get me upset. I mean, if you pick David Fincher, maybe I won't be upset. But if you pick anybody else, I'm probably going to be a little ticked off. And maybe one of the reasons I want to see Soderbergh direct a Star Wars movie or direct an Ocean's 11 sequel is because I think this guy deserves a moment. I think he should be appreciated as one of the best directors working today because he's not getting recognized for these movies. He's not going to get nominated for the Christophers. He didn't get rewarded for what he did with Black Bag. We are talking about a filmmaker who was nominated for Best Director twice in the same year, and he's doing the same kind of works, but it's no longer being recognized, and I think that's kind of sad on our end, because he still truly is one of the best filmmakers alive. So yes, it would be great if he made the recent Best Star Wars movie. I think that would be great for his career and people would absolutely take notice. Sadly, that's not going to happen because Disney does not know what they are doing currently with Star Wars. And the Ocean's 11 guys, get your act together. George Clooney should want Steven Soderbergh to direct a sequel. The screenwriter of the Christophers is none other than Ed Solomon, who is best known for writing the Bill and Ted films and the first Men in Black. In recent years, he's worked with Soderbergh on the TV miniseries Mosaic and Full Circle and the movie No Sudden Move, and now the Christophers. It's interesting to me that Soderbergh is going back and forth between David Koepp and Ed Solomon writing the scripts. I love what both are bringing to current Steven Soderbergh movies. I mean, other than Steven Spielberg and David Fincher, Soderbergh is my favorite director who does not write his own scripts. And that's obviously one of the reasons we don't have to wait 5 years for a new Steven Soderbergh movie. Like, he is just so efficient as a director. I mean, isn't that hard enough of a job? I mean, I love the great writer and directors of our time, Quentin Tarantino, Paul Thomas Anderson, Christopher Nolan, but at the same time, I'm just impressed with how many good movies Steven Soderbergh can make, and I feel the exact same way about Steven Spielberg. The fact that that guy can make Jurassic Park and Schindler's List in the same year, and that Soderbergh can make Traffic and Erin Brockovich in the same year. And not that this opinion really matters, but I do think we're talking about the director who has best taken advantage of the streaming world. I mean, he's made good movies for Netflix. He's also made good movies for HBO Max. I mean, the other guys I could come up with is Noah Baumbach. I mean, that's another guy who's using Netflix the right way to make the kinds of movies he wants to make. I, of course, saw the movie The Christophers in a movie theater because it's in a movie theater exclusively right now, which I do find really interesting, that this is one that made its way to movie theaters, and that No Sudden Move, Kimmy, and Let Them All Talk were streaming movies for Steven Soderbergh. Last year, both of his movies went to movie theaters. Everybody talked about the fact that Black Bag should have made more money because it stars Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett, and it's a really entertaining film. And then you had Presence, a small movie that did okay in theaters. I don't think Steven Soderbergh cares about ever having another hit movie ever again, but I really do hope that he gets one more big giant movie and people celebrate the career that he's had. And again, yes, I would like him to make a Star Wars movie, but that particular Star Wars movie. I don't want him to make a Marvel movie just for the sake of making a movie that makes $1 billion. Like, I want Stephen Soderbergh to make the kind of movie that only he can make. I think after watching The Christophers, I've come to the conclusion that what I like most about Stephen Soderbergh is that you can tell he is interested in the subjects of his films. Like, he is interested in this topic of a mentor-mentee relationship and the dynamics between the two characters in this movie. Too often, you are watching movies and thinking to yourself, I don't think the filmmaker cares about this plot at all. Like, he doesn't care about the substance of the movie. He's just trying to move the plot forward. And I think with Stephen Soderbergh, it's the opposite. He doesn't care about the plot. He cares more about the characters and the ideas that he is portraying on screen. And this gets me back to the fact that he's not a writer-director. I feel like most people feel like the writer-directors are control freaks. I think Stephen Soderbergh is in control of his movies more so than most filmmakers. He understands the tone that he is creating with the actors. And from all the interviews I've seen about this movie from Ed Sullivan, it sounds like Stephen Soderbergh came up with the kind of movie he wanted to make. He is the architect of this film. I don't know, I'm really running out of things to say about this particular filmmaker. I'm just endlessly impressed with how he makes movies that really stand out in my mind. And they also get better upon rewatch. Like, I've only seen The Christophers once, but it is definitely a movie I want to see again. No Sudden Move is a movie that has gotten better the more I've seen it. Kimmy has gotten way better the more I've seen it. Black Bag has gotten better on a rewatch. Because to put it simply, his movies are deep and they are actually about something. I feel like because he makes so many movies, people act like some of his films are minor works. No, watch a movie like High Flying Bird and you see all of the ideas this guy has about the film he is making and all of the thoughts he has about the characters. I watch a film like The Christophers and I truly believe we're never going to have another filmmaker like this ever again. We're never going to have a guy who wants to make this amount of movies at this quality. Like, it's just never going to happen again. So I am going to celebrate every Stephen Soderbergh movie until the end of his career. That is how I feel about this particular guy. I want to see him work with all of my favorite actors, and I love when he makes casting decisions that I did not see coming. Like, I didn't see a movie starring Ian Mckellen directed by Stephen Soderbergh, but man, am I glad it exists. Oscar chances for The Christophers. Ian Mckellen has previously been nominated for Gods and Monsters and for The Fellowship of the Ring. I 1000% as of this moment believe he should get his third Oscar nomination for The Christophers. It's hard to imagine anyone else playing this role. And I personally find it hard to believe there's going to be 5 better leading performances in a film this year by a leading actor. I don't think it's going to happen. I know that The Christophers is a smaller movie, and the movie would have to get a lot of buzz for this to happen, but it should happen. It's one of the best performances of 2026, and it's probably going to end up being one of the best of the year overall. I'll end the podcast on this note. When you think of Steven Soderbergh movies, you think of movies that have a big cast like Ocean's 11 or Logan Lucky, and that's what's so rare about this movie, is it's a rare two-hander. I mean, this movie just solely relies on the chemistry between Michela Coel and Ian Mckellen. Sometimes I get annoyed with movies that focus solely on one or two characters, but with Soderbergh, he can really do it and still make an entertaining movie. I love Kimmy. I love that it's just all Zoe Kravitz all of the time in that movie, and after seeing The Christophers, I could watch 100 more movies starring just Ian McKellen and Michela Coel. Some of you may be avoiding this film because a movie about an aging artist sounds boring, and I get it, but it's not. Stephen Soderbergh turns The Christophers into one of the most entertaining movies of the year. And Sir Ian McKellen deserves all the praise in the world for his performance in The Christophers. Thanks for listening to this edition of Pop Culture Spotlight. I'm Cameron McKinney, and there'll be a new episode of the podcast every Thursday on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I highly recommend you check out The Christophers. Next week on the podcast, I'm talking about Gus Van Sant's Dead Man's Wire, starring Dacre Montgomery, Bill Skarsgård, Al Pacino, and Coleman Domingo. So tune into that. And please rate, review, and subscribe.